Ladies and gentlemen, we've entered the theater of the absurd. Pelosi announces committee to oversee the $2.2 trillion stimulus package. This is an investigation of President Trump. There's a committee to oversee. They can't even get Medicare for all through the Democratic-run House because they're just completely inept. They pander and promise and engage in the most deceitful conduct, telling people they're going to pass this legislation and that legislation and Medicare for all and abolishing ICE and a Green New Deal legislation after the resolution. Democrats control the House. They've done absolutely nothing. Oh, we've passed so many bills. Nobody cares about them. Those aren't the bills. That isn't the legislation that you claim that you utilize to funnel votes from left-leaning voters back into the Democratic Party. Why? Okay, Democrats, the only thing they're good at is investigating Trump based on nonsense. They have to level the playing field and make everything morally relative and muddy the waters because, Madam Secretary, who's going to be the nominee? I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Nobody has been saying since 2017 that Clinton is going to be the nominee. I stated Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump in my Huffington Post article in February of 2017. I knew this was a theatrical performance, farce. They don't have a political party. It's a giant political machine propped up by media and corrupt intelligence officials and Hollywood. But here, this is, I touched upon this, but now she's actually started this. So today I did a segment on the fact that, there's a House subcommittee that Nancy Pelosi has created. Washington Post now talks about a probe into President. So Pelosi forms a House committee to investigate President Trump's handling, NBC News, of the crisis. This is CNBC. Pelosi announces new House committee to oversee Trump administration's rollout of the stimulus. So this is hilarious. Pelosi forms committee to oversee $2 trillion relief package with the power to subpoena individuals. This is going to be the same type of thing. Someone's going to blow a whistle, and there's going to be an anonymous source here and there, and almost every single article, ushering in this giant story, breaking a news story. Every single article for the past, 3 years has been, according to people familiar with the matter, according to a source who wanted to be claimed anonymity or spoke on the condition of confidentiality or anonymity, whatever. Every single story from the Washington Post to the New York Times, CNN, is based on sources that they have that just happen to always dislike or oppose President Trump. 60% of Americans approve of Trump's handling of the crisis. 60% of Americans. Okay. This is according to Gallup. 55% according to ABC News. Biden is absolutely horrendous. There's look, he's not going to be nominee. The notion that when you, Karl Rove the other day was like, oh yeah, short of some kind of serious health issue, that's just wishful thinking with Cuomo. He's definitely going to be the nominee. I wanted to read you something. This is interesting also. Karl Rove made the following call. Why am I bringing this guy up? Because he was part of the worst administration of all time. But here, what did he say? He wrote in 2016, if Mr. Trump is this is regarding the presidency. If Mr. Trump is its standard bearer, the GOP will lose the White House and the Senate, and its majority in the House will fall dramatically. If the nominee is Ted Cruz, the situation is still dicey. Any other major candidate, if nominated, will best Mrs. Clinton in a close race. Okay. He said, Mr. Trump, if Mr. Trump is the GOP standard bearer, like if he becomes nominee, the GOP will lose the House and Senate. And then of course she'll lose to Trump, and then he'll lose to Trump. We'll lose the White House. If Mr. Trump this is Karl Rove. If Mr. Trump is the standard bearer, the GOP will lose the White House and the Senate, and its majority in the House will fall dramatically. Okay. The opposite took place. Karl Rove said that he would lose the presidency. They would lose the Senate if it's Trump. Okay. Why am I... It's just the other day I was reading. Okay. People, the smart political strategists, especially even conservatives, are like, oh, well, it's going to be, it's, Karl Rove, whatever, MSNBC. Like, oh, it's definitely Biden because it's their political party, and they wouldn't want to tank their political party. Well, of course they would. Of course they will nominate Clinton because they don't have a political party. They don't care. There are not going to be disgruntled Bernie bros because 90% of Bernie Sanders supporters will fall in line. No one will say a thing because they'll just simply... did you ever think that Russia would be blamed for Facebook ads? Only the biggest imbecile would believe this. Democrats believe this. Why? Because it's our intelligence community that hasn't been right about anything. They don't care. They just shape and reshape and twist and mangle and pivot, and the narrative changes on it. It just stops on a dime, changes direction. It's all good. They just, whatever they do to justify their bizarre course of action is enough for Democrats. They don't care about the process. They care about the ends. The ends justifies the means to them. They don't care. Well, we'll cheat Bernie again. They don't care. They don't care. Well, they have Bernie. You see, the progressives are left-leaning people on the Bernie Sanders supporters. Like, well, they have Bernie. Bernie could win. I used to be like that, but the difference is that Bernie still could have won when I was saying it. Up until July 5th, 2016. Then I didn't say it. But July 5th, 2016 is when James Comey literally covered up crimes of Bernie's political opponent. And then people on the left are like, oh, yeah, you said that Bernie could still win. Yeah, because Bernie Sanders and his entire movement is too cowardly to bring up Burisma, to bring up Clinton's email server with top secret intelligence on it that was hacked by the entire planet, according to Robert Gates and Michael Hayden. There's only a certain point Bernie Sanders supporters will go, or Bernie Sanders himself. I'm tired of our emails. That's why they get stomped on and cheated and just manipulated and utilized all the time. The whole point is this, okay? They're investigating President Trump for anything they can. Even though if the State of the State, Andrew Cuomo, he had a State of the State address in January of 2020. Gavin Newsom had his State of the State. These are like State of the Unions for governors in February of 2020. The entire Democratic Party was trying to remove the president literally a month before all of this happened in March, the beginning of February. Okay, all of them were focused on just investigating and hurting Trump politically. And then the absurd theme or notion that Trump withheld military assistance to go after Biden because he was afraid of Biden. The only thing he's afraid of is that Biden won't be the nominee. The only people who are afraid of Biden are his voters. The other day, he made an obscene hand gesture twice on MSNBC. And then everyone there is like, if it was Trump, oh my God, Trump simulated the Divinal song in the 90s. Oh my God. Did you see what he did? Oh my God. And then don't get me started on the allegations against Biden, which are actually literally what Trump was joking about on a hot mic. They look at the hot mic like a deposition, like, oh, he admitted this is a deposition. But an actual allegation that actually says what they obsess over with the hot mic Biden is accused of actually doing that, and then, nobody talks about it. The left has zero value system, and they're the most narcissistic, megalomaniacal people. Like, oh, you're immoral. It's a moral thing. Trust me. If you're in Hollywood, I don't need to hear anything about morality. Really, I don't. If you voted for Clinton and you're going to vote for her twice, spare us the lecture or the sermon or the preaching or the pontificating. You've lost any possible right to lecture anyone forever. When Clinton runs again and they vote for Clinton again, everyone should tune out any of the preaching and the moralizing and the soapbox and the condemnation or judgment from anyone on the left. Because it's like you're talking about people that they have to make everything morally relative. And they have to muddy the waters just enough to justify their own corruption. So Clinton lied under oath in like 1993. It was like a travel gate. They always have scandals and controversies. That's what, like, they wake up to that. And they just, it's like they eat that up for breakfast. She had servers with top secret intelligence on them. And they're like, oh, but her emails. There was like a meme with this kind of cute, funny, but only a moron would think it's actually meaningful, with like a face, like a mask, and then on the person wearing a mask, and then on the mask it said, "But her emails." It wasn't her emails, you imbeciles. It was her servers with top secret intelligence on them for 4 years because she was covering up her activities. Half of those emails were deleted. 30,000 emails out of 60,000 were deleted. What do you think she was doing half the time? The Clinton Foundation was a money laundering racket. That's not, if they're like, oh, Trump Foundation had to pay a fine. Yeah, okay. But did they get $85 million from $156 million from 85 donors? Did they get millions of dollars from Uranium One officials? And that could just happen to coincide with President Obama not vetoing the sale of U.S. uranium to Putin. These people are the best friends of Putin. Putin, apparently, according to Clapper and Brennan, the other two deceitful fools who should have been indicted for perjury because they lied under oath, each of them. One regarding surveillance of Americans, Clapper. The other was surveillance of the Senate, Dianne Feinstein's Senate under President Obama. But anyway, Senate Democrats. But anyway, they said, what was I saying? Where was I even going with this? The point is this. They used a dossier to set up and frame Trump. That didn't work. They used a special counsel to set up and frame Trump. That didn't work. They impeached Trump based on the hearsay and gossip of a whole bunch of diplomats who didn't like him. That didn't work. His approval rating went up. Okay. Now, in this crisis, 60% of Americans approve of President Trump. Okay. That didn't work, too. Nothing works for them. They trotted out Biden. They just utilized Bernie is there for one purpose, to just funnel votes back into the Democratic Party. Okay. That won't work. Bernie will endorse Hillary Clinton. I explained that earlier today. At the end of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to just see the complete collapse of the Democratic Party and media. Now, this is important. Media and social media. Twitter is going to be completely irrelevant after this. This is not going to be Biden versus Trump. That will not happen. That will not happen. Just because you don't know how it won't happen, I don't know how it won't happen, but it won't happen. They're not going for... It would be so horrendous that the utter catastrophe for the Democratic Party would be so fulfilling for all my viewers that everyone would give me a free pass for every single day saying that Clinton will be nominated, which she will. But I'm just saying, it will be such a if it was Biden versus Trump, it would be such a monumental, apocalyptic, biblical, political collapse for Democrats. Not only would they sweep everything there is, they'd win everything there is to win in November, but Biden wouldn't even get the popular vote. He is absolutely. You're talking about somebody who not only has allegations, but thinks that he wants the cure to be worse than the problem for all of this. He wants to run for Senate. He talks about lotion and leg hairs. Who in their right mind thinks that he's a good candidate? And you still have Democrats saying he's a good candidate. He's horrendous. This is the centennial of the 19th Amendment. You think they're going to go with Tales from the Crypt Biden? No. So anyway, Clinton actually did engage in crimes. She got investigated, and people like Comey covered them up. Okay. Then there are technicalities, and they just slither away from. People like that don't just say, gosh, I'm not going to keep rolling the dice. No, they're the person at the table who keeps rolling, and if you keep winning, why not keep rolling? So the Clintons are like, hey, you know what, let's roll the dice again. And the only time they didn't really win was 2016. So they think that's an anomaly. Clinton's going to be nominee, and this is also, when Pelosi is investigating Trump over this, you have to understand the context. That's why I focus on this. Nobody sees what's really going on. You're talking about a political machine, people. And a political machine throws as much mud as possible because they project. They actually engage in the crimes, and they accuse others of doing what they do. Give me your thoughts below. Subscribe to H.I. Goodman's other channel right now. If you want to support my voice, my Patreon is below. Thank you so very, very much.